Hey, what's up everybody? Clifton here with CliftonWP. Welcome back to the channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to customize your product archive pages that you've built with WooCommerce in your WordPress installs. We're going to be doing this using the Kadence Theme Pro add-on. We're going to be using the Elements feature. And I'm going to show you a version where we're using Kadence Shop Kit to customize those product category pages as well. So if you guys are ready to learn how to customize your product archive pages or your product category pages using Kadence, the Kadence Pro Theme add-on and Kadence Shop Kit, then let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so let's quickly go over what we're going to be learning. If you're looking to follow along, you're going to need a couple of things. The first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need an e-commerce website. And this specific site that you're looking at is a website that we built in an earlier tutorial. I will leave the link in the description below. You can take the tutorial and learn how to build this exact website. I provide all the resources, all the images, and all the content and the instruction to be able to build this specific site. It has multiple products, beautiful sections, and it even has different categories as well, all built out. And you can learn how to build that from scratch. Of course, you don't have to have this specific website to be able to follow along with this tutorial. The beautiful thing about Kadence is that when you install Kadence, even if it's the free version of Kadence, and you install Kadence blocks, there is a prompt that allows you to ask you to install Kadence starter templates. And these are fully built out templates, really fully built out websites that have all the components that you need for different verticals. So, and there are e-commerce versions as well. Matter of fact, if you would like to take a look at those, you can just go to cliftonwp.com/cadence. And when you get there, click on starter templates. Now that link I gave you is an affiliate link. So if you happen to purchase anything while you're here, there will be a small commission that goes back to support the channel. So thank you in advance for doing that. But the starter templates, there are pro versions available and there are free versions available as well. So even if you don't have the pro version of Kadence, you still have access to the starter templates to be able to use for your projects. Now, when you get here and you click on starter templates, you're going to be presented with these templates right here. Typically, when this is happening in your WordPress install, this will be on the back end of your site and you'll see the same options as well. If you click on e-commerce, there are several beautiful e-commerce websites here, templates that you can install, and within a few minutes, sometimes less than 2 minutes, you'll have a fully built out store ready to use or ready to start off your project with. So I recommend installing one of these if you want to follow along with this tutorial and you don't want to rebuild an entire e-commerce website, or you want to do that later, then this would be a great option to be able to do that. If you do follow this route, here are the ones that I recommend. If you have the free version of Kadence, here are some of the free e-commerce sites that are available. So the jewelry shop is free and it is available. And if we preview this, this is an absolutely beautiful layout for an e-commerce store. And what's beautiful about this is you can go to the shop and there are multiple categories, right? So when we're talking about customizing the product category or product archive page, if we go to the earrings, for instance, this is a product archive page, right? Archive for the earrings, or category page for the earrings. So traditionally, WooCommerce sort of organizes this in a grid like this, and then there's nothing else around it. But Kadence actually makes this look a lot better. But we're going to take that even further. We're going to customize this entire thing. We're going to be adding things up here where we want them. And I'll show you examples of that. But you want to pick a template that allows you to have some categories to work on, because this is exactly where we're going to be doing most of our work. Okay, so the jewelry shop is a great option. The next option that I would recommend, if you are wanting to install some free versions, the ones that I would recommend also is the outdoor e-commerce site. Okay, so let's see, we can find that by going to e-commerce, making sure we have all the e-commerce ones selected. And then if you scroll down, you'll see this outdoor shop. Click on that one and it is free. This is also a beautiful starter template as well. And with this outdoor shop, one of the things I like about it is that it has multiple categories. So we can work on we can do our tutorial on some of these categories as well. Okay, so those are the options that will be available for you if you want to follow along with the tutorial. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to our tutorial and get started. So let's talk about what we're going to be doing here. So if you install, or if you have an e-commerce website built on WordPress and you're using WooCommerce, you have the ability to have categories. So these are some categories that I have, or if you look at the navigation here, these are the categories. And let's say we go to the handbag category. So if you go to the handbags category, you're going to see here there's a title. Okay, so the outside area here is being supported by Kadence, but this inside area right here, this grid, this 4-column grid that you're looking at, this is all WooCommerce. And the styling, this and these behaviors, these are all coming from Kadence, of course. But in general, any WooCommerce based e-commerce site, or in general, most e-commerce websites, the category pages tend to look like this, right? Where you have it as some kind of a grid. You have the product image and a little description, and the add to cart is all there, and it's kind of organized in this grid. And what tends to happen is no matter which one you go to, so if I go to new arrivals, it kind of follows the same routine here. If we go to dresses, same thing. If we go to shoes, you can kind of see it. Everything kind of looks the same. It's very uniform, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's actually really good to keep everything consistent so that the user is used to seeing the same thing. But sometimes you may want to make this a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more eye-catching. Okay, and you can do that using Kadence. So we're going to look at 2 ways that we do this. So I've already created some, and I'm going to show this. We'll walk you through it, and then we're going to remove everything and build everything from scratch. All right, so if we go to let's go to the shirts category. So if you look at the shirts category, you notice that this looks significantly different than that. In this one, we have this featured area with an image on the right and a huge announcement on the left, some links or some list items, and a button that says shop now. When people click this button, it actually scrolls them down to the main category of t-shirts, and they can go ahead and do their shopping. Okay, so if you wanted to create something like this and have your category page look a little bit more dynamic, then this is something that we're going to learn how to do, and you'll be surprised at how easy it is to pull this off. Okay, so this is the first example. Now this is using Kadence Elements, which is a feature of the Kadence Pro Theme add-on, and we'll be walking through that in this tutorial. The next one that I want to demonstrate for you as well is going to be in this watches category. So if we look at the watches category, you can see here this looks completely different from all the other categories that we have, product categories that we have on the site. So if you go to watches, we have this sort of very clean, minimalistic featured area. Okay, we have some of the elements and benefits of the watches here. We have a nice title, very bold, so people can see that. And in addition to that, we have these links that say shop now. And when somebody clicks on this, it scrolls them down to the main category. And you'll notice something about this category. In this category, we have 3 columns versus the normal 4 columns that we typically have. And we have a section over here to the right with an opt-in form to get up to 40% off if you join the members club. And as you scroll on this, this stays in place, right? And people can go ahead and view the remaining watches that exist. Okay, so this is custom built, and this one is actually built using Shop Kit and its Woo templates functionality, which is a very, very powerful piece of functionality included in the Kadence Shop Kit premium paid plugin. Okay, and we'll be talking about that in this tutorial as well. Okay, so just to demonstrate, if I go back and I turn off, let's turn off a few things. So I'm going to go to Shop Kit over here. I'm going to turn off the product templates and save, and we're going to go back and let's look at those watches again. And you can see now it's reverted back to the traditional layout, which is still very nice and very beautiful, by the way. However, it is definitely not as eye-catching as the one that I showed before. Okay, so you can actually toggle these on and off, and that's the beauty of having it done the way Kadence has, is that I can now go back, I can create these custom product templates, I can enable them at any time and have my specific pages look like this. My product category pages look like this, right? And this is great if I had a specific promotion or a video or something that I wanted to present here. I just want a different layout. I can definitely do that using the flexibility inside of ShopKit to do that. Okay, now this one here, the shirts, this is not using ShopKit. This is just using your traditional Kadence elements to do that. And we've sort of hooked this area over here, and I'll show you exactly how that's done, okay? And what the difference is. All right, so without further ado, let's actually get into the practical application of designing these layouts. Okay, so let's start with this version. This version is using the Kadence Elements feature to hook in a featured area on top of the product archive section for the t-shirts. So all we need to do in this one is we just need to rebuild this area right here and then go ahead and hook it onto the product section that we want, okay? So to be able to do that, you will need the Kadence Pro Theme add-on. If you don't have the Kadence Pro Theme add-on, just simply go to cliftonwp.com/Kadence. That is an affiliate link. And if you click on pricing, it'll bring you to this page right here. And you're going to need to pick up the essential bundle or the full bundle. And that will allow you to be able to have the Kadence Pro Theme add-on in addition to the additional plugins that are offered by Kadence. Okay. Now, once you have done that, you're going to need to install it into your website by going to your dashboard, go to plugins, click on add new, and you're going to do an upload plugin, choose file, and go ahead and search for your Kadence Pro Theme add-on, which will be this one right here, or one of these. Download it to your computer. Now, I already have it installed, so if I go to my installed plugins, here you can see that I have the Kadence Pro add-on already installed. Okay, so I have everything that I need. The way you'll know that you have it installed and activated is if you go to Appearance and you go to Kadence. Underneath there will be a submenu called Elements. And this is a feature that allows you to build out sections, fixed items, templates, and add HTML code to your website that you can hook into different areas of the website. Okay, so once you do that, then you'll be able to create these sections and plug them in anywhere that you want. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead, we're going to go ahead and recreate that section that we have. So once you have the Kadence Pro Theme add-on installed, just go to the dashboard and then go to Appearance, Kadence, click on Elements, and it'll bring you right here. You can see the one that we created here before. We're going to go ahead and trash that. Okay, and then let's just make sure. Let's go ahead and open this in a new tab. And what we want to do, we're going to make sure that our shirts have reverted back to just a traditional layout, right? So you can see that this layout is completely different now. Okay, so we're going to go back. And again, it's under Appearance, Kadence, Elements. That'll bring you to this screen right here. We're going to click on Add New. Okay, we're going to be offered a option to either select a content section, fixed section template, or HTML editor. The one that we want is the content section. Okay, I'm going to close that. And then let's label this. All right, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and build this out. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create our container. So click on the plus sign over here. You can do a search for a row layout. We want this row layout from the Kadence blocks. Click on it, and we're going to select a 2-column row layout. Okay. Now that we have this 2-column row layout, then we want to now add the elements to it. So on the right side, we had an image of a gentleman wearing a t-shirt, and on the left-hand side, we had our text. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have this section selected. If you're having a hard time selecting the section, you can always open it up in list view by clicking the list view icon up here at the top. Open up the row layout and select that second section like that. Once you select it, over here to the right, you will have all the options for that section. The option we're looking for is the background settings. We're going to open that up, and in the background image, we're going to select an image. The image that we want is this image here. I'll leave a link in the description below to the image that I'm using in case you want to follow along and recreate this yourself. But just select an image of your choice. Make sure it's a nice big image. And we're going to go ahead and click on select. That's going to place the image as the background for this section. Now you can notice here, we really can't see the image because there is no content within this section. But I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign here. And the block I am looking for is a spacer. Let's go ahead and close this out. And you can do a search for spacer. And we want the spacer divider from Kadence blocks. Go ahead and click on that. And then we can go ahead and extend this by dragging the spacer out like that. And we want to drag this out till about 600 pixels. Okay. And there we go. If you ever want to be super precise, you can always also make the change right over here on the height option for the spacer settings. Okay, the other thing is I also want the face of the model to show a little bit more. So I'm going to select that section again over here on the right under the background settings. I'm going to move this circle, so move the focal point to right on to his face. That way it's in the viewport. Okay, and that's all we need to do for here. Now this spacer, you can see there's a subtle divider over here. If you select the spacer again by clicking on it, you can go ahead and toggle off the divider. So it's just the image as a background and then the spacer occupying the space for us. All right, and we're done with that section. Next, we need to go ahead and add our text onto the left. Okay, this is going to be very, very easy. Just click on the plus sign. We're looking for advanced text. Okay, and the text that we want here is 15% off the best t-shirts ever. Okay, and we want this to be really big, so I'm going to set this to a size of 100 pixels, and then the line height I'm going to use is 106 pixels, kind of bring the text a little closer together. Okay, now I also want to indicate that this is a sale at the very top of this, so I'm going to click on this heading text right that I've created over here, and then right over here where it has the options, I'm going to open up the options and I'm going to select insert before. What this is going to do is it's going to insert a block space for me right on top of it, and then I can go ahead and add a new block. So I want to add a block that's going to allow me to have an icon and some text. The best block for that is going to be the info box block from Kadence block. So if you do a / and do a search for info, you'll see the info box right here. Click on that and you'll see that the info box gives us a number of very useful tools. It gives us the icon, it gives us a title text, and it gives us some content text contained inside of an info box. So we just need to configure this to suit our needs. All we want is for the icon to be on the left hand side and the title to be on the right, and we're not going to need this additional content here as well. So to configure this, while you have the info box selected, move over here to the right. Leave everything as is on the layout presets. Just go ahead and scroll down, and we're going to start with the container. Open up the container, and when you open it up, look for the container background. We're going to go ahead and make this a transparent background. So just when you open it up, just go ahead and drag this circle all the way down, making the alpha 0, and that will remove that container. You'll also want to switch over to the hover version of it, right? Because if I still hover over this, you can still see there's a hover state there. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing. Okay. Then the next thing that we want to do is we want to eliminate this container padding. So just go ahead and make that a 0. Click in the box and type 0. All right. So far that looks good. Then the other thing that we want to do is we want to content align this to the left. Right now the content is aligned to the center. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the content align option here and align this to the left. Right. So far that looks good. And then as we scroll down, further down, look for the media settings. That's going to control the icon. I want to open up this icon. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to align the icon to the left like that. I want the media vertical align for this icon to be at the top, so it's right next to the title. All right, and then I also want to change the icon itself. So I'm going to close this one, click on it by clicking on the X, and then click in that field, and we're going to search for gift. And I want this filled in gift box. Okay, just like that. All right. Then the next thing that I want to do here is I want to eliminate this content, and I want to change this content to say sale. So I'm just going to click on the title here, okay, and I'm going to type sale. All right, and the next thing that I want to do here is scroll a little bit further down, and you'll notice that there's some spacing over here on the icon that's not allowing it to align with the text down here. So that spacing is the media margin, and it's the left margin. So I'm going to go ahead and zero that out. All right, so now everything's kind of pushed over, and that looks great. Then the next thing that I want to do here is I want to go to the title settings, and I want to set the size of the title to 50 pixels, the same size as the icon. So they're roughly about the same size here, okay? We can always make little adjustments, but I want that to be 50 pixels. And then I'm going to scroll down here, and I can see that there's a margin that's set over here. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to 0. Scroll down, look for the text settings, and we're going to turn that text off, okay? And just to be sure, I want to make sure that the title has no additional margins or paddings or things like that going on. So I can see there's a top margin right over here. I'm going to go ahead and set that to 0, and that's going to align it perfectly with my icon. Okay. Now I also notice there's a huge gap over here that's coming from the media, from the icon setting itself. So I'm going to go back to my icon settings, scroll down, and we're going to look for this media margin over here. I'm going to set that to 0, and that's going to pull it in some more. So that looks great. And then I just want to add an exclamation mark over here. And the next thing is I kind of want this to stand out. And the easiest way for me to make this stand out is to give it a color. Okay, so the icon color that we're going to use is just a red color. Just select any red will do. I like this one. So go ahead and copy that after I selected it. And I want to move over to the hover state, and I'm going to add that red there. And then I'm going to scroll down to the title settings. So it's right here, title color. And I'm going to paste in that color and move over to the hover state. Do the same thing, paste it in. Okay, that way when I hover over it, everything still remains the same. Okay, and now we have our little icon, and we have some text next to it. The other thing that we need to deal with is the size over here. So the spacing, excuse me. The space here is too much space, and that's probably coming from my heading over here. So I'm going to click on this because I know that Kadence has some default heading settings in here. So I'm going to click on this and select this header, this heading. And when we look over to the right over here, look for the spacing settings, go to the margin and click on the top margin section and go ahead and place a 0 in there. See, and that's going to go ahead and bring that closer together for us. And now this looks really good. Okay, so our section is looking very, very nice. I'm going to go ahead and update this to save my work. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the remaining of the elements. So the next thing we want to add here is a few benefit options below here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my cursor right after this heading, and I'm going to hit the enter key, and that's going to give me a new block area right here to be able to add whatever block that I want. Now the blocks that I want to use are going to be the icon list block. So it's going to have a little icon, some more text, but I'm not going to use the same info box this time. I could, but in this case, I just want to make it a little bit simpler, and I'm going to use the icon list block. So the icon list, if you do a / and you search for icon, you will see the icon list right over here. So when you click on this, you'll notice that it adds the icon list there, and we can say, let's say we said stylish, and it gives us a plus sign to add more icons. So we might say durable. Now the challenge, I'm immediately seeing a challenge. The challenge here is that I want my icons to actually be inline. I don't want them to be vertical the way they're going right now. So right now they are inline. Okay. So to solve this issue, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete this last one that I added. Just highlight it, click delete. Okay. And I'm also going to delete the first one that I created as well. Or what I'll do is I'll just copy it so I can save it to my clipboard. And then I'm going to delete it. Okay. So somehow we're going to need to have those icons flow in line, meaning they're going to be right next to each other. To be able to do that, now that I've deleted it, I'm going to go ahead and hit the enter key again, And this time I'm going to add a section block. So Kadence has a section block. Just go ahead and type section and you'll see it right here. Click on section. And what this is going to allow me to do is it's going to give me flexbox properties, meaning it's going to allow me to be able to change the direction of the blocks that go into this section. So to do that, just select the section. If you have a hard time doing that, make sure you open up the list view and go ahead and select the section right there to select it for you. Then move over to the right here where it says flex align settings, open that up. And we're going to change this from a vertical block direction, meaning going from top to bottom, to horizontal, going left to right. So I'm going to select the horizontal option here. And now you can see over here that that's changed a little bit. Okay. Click on the plus sign and I can go ahead and paste in my icon list, or I can just select an icon list again. All right. And now I'm going to say stylish. Okay. Make sure to select that section again. Click on the plus sign. Another icon list. We'll say durable. And don't worry about this misalignment. That's happening because it's expecting you to add more items, but we're not going to. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and select the section again. Click on the plus sign, icon list, and we'll say affordable. And you can see how it's adding the items side by side for me. Okay, that's what we wanted. That's why we set it to be a horizontal section. Okay, now we need to create some spacing between these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to increase the space. Let's go 40 pixels and see how that looks. Okay, that looks really good. Let's close out the list view and see how it looks here. Okay, that looks great. Now we want to add a button here as well. The reason I want to add a button is because this space is actually pretty large, and on a desktop, when someone's looking at the category section, I want them to have a button that when they click on it, it takes them to the products in that category. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus sign again, and this time I'm going to search for an advanced button. Advanced button, and we're gonna label this shop now. Okay, now I'm pretty happy with the button being the way that it is. The styling is actually perfect. So I have a transparent button, and when you hover over it, you have this effect happening where it fills in. Okay, but what I want to do is I also want to add an additional indicator so that it kind of guides the user and lets them know what's going to happen when they click on this button. So I'm going to move over here to the right. So make sure you have the button selected, move over to the right. And what we're going to look for here, open up the button settings. What we're going to look for is the icon settings, and click in that field and search for arrow. And on the second page of the arrow options, select the down arrow. There it is right there. Okay. And later on, I'll show you how to get that to link so that it slides down to the category sections. All right, so far everything here is looking very good. Everything is looking right in line, like where it should be. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and save my work, and I want to preview this now. So what I'm gonna do is click on the preview in a new tab. All right, and so far everything looks really good. Everything looks nice. Now, you'll notice that I have some spacing happening around here. If you have not done that yet, to be able to do that, just make sure you have the section selected. So if you're opening yours up, matter of fact, let's do this now. So let's select the section. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zero all this out. So what tends to happen sometimes, depending on your settings, you may have it in such a way that when you're previewing it, everything's flush like that. Okay, in that area. What you want to do, just go to your section, make sure you have the section selected. To make sure that I do, I can open up list view, and here's me selecting the section right there. And then on the right hand side, you can go ahead and link all these by clicking on this icon right here that will link it, and just set that to 40 pixels, and that'll give you some padding around that section. Okay, such that when you update it and we go back to the preview, we can see that now everything's aligned really nicely. Very nice spacing happening there as well. Okay, you'll also notice that there's some spacing right up here, which means there's probably some spacing up here. So this is just a default spacing that happens when you add a row, and we definitely don't want that. So what we want to do, we're going to go back here, and we're going to select the outermost row, and you can see it right there. You can either drag this closed if you want, okay, or you can move over to the right hand side and just make sure to add zeros in all the spots here for padding. Okay, and get an update, and when we preview, looks like I didn't finish that. Let's do that again. Let's make sure that I have the outermost row padding. Update and refresh. Okay, I have to regenerate the preview. All right, and here it is. Okay, so everything is now flush and everything looks good. There's just one more thing, or actually two more things that we need to do. One, I need to create some contrast between the section here. So this is white and this is also white. And if we look at the shirt section right here, this is also white, right? So I want to create some contrast between the two. So what we're going to do here is go back to our element here, and what we're going to do is I'm going to select that outermost row again over here on the right hand side. You're going to scroll down, look for the background color, click on the select color icon right here, and we want to select just a light subtle background. Okay, any subtle light background will do, and that looks good right there. Go ahead and click on update. All right, so right now this is actually ready for us to go ahead and hook it into our category page. But before we do that, one thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that this looks great on mobile. Okay, so let's go ahead and take care of the mobile settings now. So make sure you've selected the outermost row. Okay, so the entire row for everything. If I open this up, I want to select the whole row. All right, and then over here on the right hand side, you will see the different viewports that you have. So this is for tablet and this is for mobile devices. So I'm going to start with the tablet one first. So if we look at it on tablet, this doesn't look very good. Text is way too big, and having it side by side like this, it makes it very difficult to read. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set this tablet layout to be one on top of the other. I'm going to go ahead and click on it like that. And we can actually leave it like this. This looks great, okay, if we want. But I do want to make just a little bit of a change. I want this text to be slightly smaller. So I'm going to click on that text right there. And I believe we have that set at 100. I'm going to reduce this to 80 and line height at 86. Okay, just so it looks a little bit better. All right, and then this we can just leave like this. This is fine. I love large images like this. It just kind of draws the eye, so it's great. All right, so that looks great. Then the next thing we want to do is we want to take care of the mobile, the way it looks on a mobile device or a cell phone. Okay, so I'm going to go over here to the cell phone. Click on that and we can see immediately all this is just way too big. All right, so what we're going to do is going to start with the icon box and make sure that all this stuff is set up for mobile devices. So we're going to start over here with the actual icon itself. Just select the icon, the info box, move over here to the right, scroll down until you see the media settings. All right, make sure you've moved the media settings over to the mobile device. So sometimes it might not be obvious that it's, but you can tell right over here which one's highlighted. So I want to select the mobile device, okay? And now that you selected that, scroll down the icon size, and we're going to set that to half the size. So if this is 50, I want this to be 25, okay? And then I'm going to scroll down to the title settings, right? This is the title settings. And we want the font size, make sure that it's on the mobile setting here. And I'm going to reduce that to 25. Okay, and don't worry about this. This will all fix itself once we look at it in preview. Okay, then I'm going to move over to the heading. Okay, so this heading is way too big, so I'm going to select this, move over here, and we're going to set this to 32, and the line height will be 38. Okay, all right. And so far this looks good. Now over here, this is a section. So remember what we did, we actually added several pixels in between each section. Okay, and now it's applying it to everything else. So I'm going to go ahead and select that section. I'm going to come over here and you make sure that you're on the mobile setting. And we're going to change this to, let's change this to 20 pixels. Okay, and that looks a lot better. Okay, and then everything else we can leave as is. Okay, if you're not happy with how this is, you can always drag it and set it however you want. Just make sure you're on the mobile setting right over here. I like to set this to be about 200 pixels on mobile. Okay. Now there are some additional things we could do. We could go ahead and set this to be centered and so on, but I'm just going to leave it like this. This looks fine as long as the user can read it and they can follow along. Everything looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and update this now. Okay. And my next step will be to look at this on an actual mobile device to see how it actually looks on mobile. Okay. Now you can see here, there's been a little bit of an error. You can see that here, for whatever reason, my icon is smaller on the main thing. So that means I did not select the mobile version when I was making this change. And so this change has remained. So I'm going to go back over here. So make sure the icon box is selected. We're going to scroll down. We're going to look for the media settings. And we can see here that it's 25. This actually needs to be 50. And then I'm going to select the mobile icon. I do this a lot. And I'm going to change that to 25. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and update this. And we're going to open this preview in a new tab. Okay, let's go ahead and refresh. Make sure that we're looking at the latest preview. And then I'm going to go ahead and inspect this using Chrome Developer Tool. This way I get to see the mobile version of this, and here it is on mobile. So on mobile, I can see that this needs a little bit more work, so I need to make this a lot cleaner. So let's go ahead and do that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my elements here, and we're going to deal with this section right here. So what I want to do is I'm going to select that section, make sure that the entire section is selected. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to look at the justify content part right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to say that I want this to be spaced evenly. So if I click on this, it's going to take up the entire space, spacing everything out evenly, giving it a much more uniform look. And I actually like this a lot better. And then when I look at it on a tablet, it's going to have the same thing there. And when I look at it on a mobile device, you'll notice that now everything is centered and the Shop Now button is here by itself. So this looks a lot more presentable than what it looked like before. Okay, and then this text right here is already centered, but just make sure that it's centered on the mobile device. And then what I need to do now is I want to center this here as well. Okay, so now before I center this though, I do notice that the alignment here is a little bit off. But before we do anything, if you've worked with Gutenberg long enough, you know that sometimes what you see on the back end may not reflect what you see on the front end. And that's just something we're going to have to work within. So let's go ahead and at least look at this on the front end and make sure that it's matching up with what we're seeing here on the back end. So what I want to do is I want to click on the preview and preview in a new tab. Okay, and now this is how it looks on the desktop. I'm going to go ahead and right click and select inspect. And I want to see it in the mobile view. If you haven't seen it in this mobile view, make sure to click on this icon right here, and it will take you to the mobile view of the item. So if we look on the mobile view, we already can notice some differences. So if I look at it from on the back end here, this is kind of aligned the way I would like it to be. I want the button to be down here, right? And I can see that there's a little gap over here happening. If I come over here, that gap is also represented here, but however, this is actually styled a little bit differently. I can see that there are, that the items are spread out evenly, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. So how do we fix that? Because this is the true view. This is how it would really look on a mobile phone. This is how it looks in Gutenberg because of it's making accommodations for all the menus and items and things like that. That's why we have to look at it on both screens. So what we want to do then is we want to take into account that this is the view that we want. So before I push this to the center and show you how to do that, let's go ahead and just take care of this view right here. So what we want to do is I want to go ahead and select that section. So here's this section right here on mobile. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the padding for this section, and I'm going to add 20 pixels to the right and the left. Okay, so it may not make a difference here, But once I update this and I preview it and generate the preview, you can see now that it's now better. It now aligns better. I'm kind of creating this little triangle thing that's leading down to the call to action. And this is exactly what I want. So right now this looks good. Now I need to work on this issue right here. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to look over here. And I'm going to select this is the icon, sorry, the info box. I'm going to select the sale, move over to the right, scroll down, and let's look at what's happening with that title. So if we go over to the title settings on a mobile device, we have the font size set to 25, but we don't have the line height set up. Okay, so this is definitely causing an issue. So what I want to do is, if I want to align it to this item right here, this is 25 pixels, I'm probably going to have to set the line height to double what the font size is in pixels. So I'm going to go ahead and click in here and I'm going to type 50. And you can see right here that it aligns beautifully with the icon. Now the only thing left for us to do is to decide if we want to shift this to the center of this text or if we want to leave it there. We don't want to leave it there because it kind of looks weird aligned to the left that way. But the issue is that each item is an item on its own. This is floated left. It has a bunch of padding on it. There's just a whole bunch of things happening here. So the only thing that we could do here is we could actually create some spacing only on mobile for the icon that pushes everything over to the right. Okay, so one of the challenges you're going to notice with the info box or even the icon list is for mobile settings, there are no settings that actually move the elements to the center of another element. And that's because you have the icon and it has its own set of settings that is keeping it where it is. And you have the text that's keeping it where it is as well. So we're going to have to get creative if we want to move this to the center. You might find this in different parts of your design that you've created these lists and you want to center the list, but there's no way to center the list or center the item, right? With the icon still floated to the left. All right. So it's going to take some resourcefulness to be able to pull this off. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and go back to the full desktop view. Okay, and what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to select this icon box and I'm going to click on the options here and I'm going to click on insert after. That's going to give me a new block line where I can insert a block. I'm going to do a / and type section. And I'm going to add a Kadence section block there. Then I'm going to drag this item into that box. Okay, so now it's in the box. If I open this up in list view, I can see the section now, and I can see the info box is in there. Okay, so now that this is inside of this section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and activate my flex align settings. Okay, I'm going to open that up and let's see what happens when I say make the text alignment to the center. When I do that, you notice that nothing happens. Okay, but if I go and make this horizontal like that and I click on the text alignment, it does move it to the center, which is what we want. Okay, except we don't want it on the desktop. Okay, we want this to happen on a mobile device. Okay, so what I'm going to do, so remember, I have the section selected. Okay, and instead of it being on the vertical block direction, I have it set on the horizontal block direction. And once I selected it on the horizontal block direction in the flex align settings, I then now have the option to do a text alignment for any block that is inside of that section. Now, what I need to do now is I'm going to close this list view. What I need to do now is I need to make sure I have selected on the text alignment option in the flex align settings that I have selected the mobile device. So I'm going to click on that mobile icon. And with that selected, I'm now going to set the text alignment to be in the center. And now it is exactly in the center, exactly the way that I want it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and click on update. And when we preview this in the new tab, it now looks beautiful. It looks exactly the way that we want it to look We have our icon floated to the left, but the entire block now in the center. And our featured header block is now mobile optimized. And we can now go ahead and proceed to add this to the category section. So let's go ahead and do that right now. All right, so to add this to our section here, let's go ahead and go back to our element. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and restore this back to the desktop view for editing. And what we're gonna do now is over here on the settings, we're gonna click on the element settings. Now, if we take a look at the t-shirts category, which is where we're going to hook this is gonna go right in this spot right here. This is gonna go away, and this will be right on the top, okay? So to do that, when you are editing your element, go to the element settings, which is this icon right over here. And then you're gonna go to the placement, and we're gonna open up the placement drop down. Scroll down until you get to the above content hero title. That is this section right here, okay? And the option that we want, the option that we want here, the above content hero title, is to replace the above content hero. Okay, that's going to replace that area. So we're going to go ahead and select that. Okay, then we have one more step. The next step is here on the display settings. We're going to go ahead and open that up, and we're going to say show on. So we're going to open up the drop down, show on, and I want you to scroll through until you get to the WooCommerce options. So here are the WooCommerce options, and we have the single products, we have the category archives, right? So all this is here. Select the category archives. And here where it says select product category archive by, it's automatically defaulted to all. We don't want that. We actually want it individually. And then we're going to open up the next option, which is already set to all, and we want to select shirts. And we are done with that. Once we're done, just go ahead and click on update. And now when I go to the shirts section and I do a refresh, we can now see that our new hero section has been added right above the shirts. Okay, so if we scroll down, we can see the categories there. And this looks very nice. If we look at this on mobile, so I'm going to go ahead and right click on inspect to open up the Chrome developer tool. When you do it, make sure you select this icon right over here to go into the mobile view, and you can see that our mobile edits are all in place. It looks like this is a little bit too close to the benefits here, so that's very easy for us to fix. We're just going to go back to our, well, let's see, how does that look like on desktop? Yeah, it's a little too close. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go back to our element here, and we're going to add some spacing there. So I'm going to select the heading, go to the block settings, go to spacing, and over here in the bottom, we're going to let's put 40 pixels of spacing there. Okay, another thing that I notice is when I'm looking at the section right over here, I notice that the way that this is spaced out is misaligned with the rest of the elements here. So this is very easy to fix. I'm going to go ahead and select that section, look over here to the right, and I'm going to find out why that's the case. So it looks like when I set this up to space evenly, it looks like by doing that caused this misalignment. So that's very easy to fix. I'm just going to go ahead and open this up, click on inherit. That's going to shift everything this way. However, I still want it to space evenly when you get to the mobile view. So I'm going to open up the mobile view, and in this case, I'm going to say space evenly, okay, so that I can still maintain the way that it looks. So now that we've made those adjustments, click on update. And when we go and we look at the shirts, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. And we can see now this looks a lot better. This looks a lot more streamlined for us. Okay. And now when we go ahead and open this up in mobile view, everything looks the way it's supposed to. Looks very nice. Okay. So this is in the mobile view. Now there's one more thing that we need to do, and then we can move on to creating a layout using the Woo templates from Shop Kit. Okay. So before we do that, one of the things you'll notice, if I click on the shop now, this is not doing anything. The idea here is that if you click on shop now, it scrolls you down to this section over here. Okay, and that's what we want to happen. So that's not happening right now. So I'm going to show you a very, very quick and easy way to make that happen. So I'm going to close this out. So we click here, nothing's happening. So I'm going to go back to my element, and I'm going to go back to our desktop view, and we're going to click on the button. And what I want you to do here for the link is I want you to do a hashtag main. Main is the div ID for the section over here. Okay, in every WooCommerce install, main is the div ID for the category section right over here. So by doing that, I'm now targeting that section. I'm going to go ahead and save that in there. Click on update, go back to our shirts category, refresh, and when I click on it now, it slides me down to see the products. And if I look at this on mobile, right click, inspect, select your mobile device, and if I click here now, it slides me down to see the products. So very user friendly for the user. And with that, that will conclude creating a custom or customizing the category page using Kadence Elements. You can make all kinds of adjustments you want. You can put anything that you want here. You can put your sales here. If you want to target a specific product, you can put that here. But this is just a great way for you to simply add a section and completely change the design and layout of your category section. Up next, we're going to do the same thing in the watches section. And we're going to do that using Woo templates from Shop Kit. Okay, let's go ahead and do that right now. So you may be asking yourself, what's the difference between using Kadence Elements to customize the product archive page and using the Woo templates from Kadence Shop Kit to create a product archive page from scratch? And the difference actually lies in that question. The reality of it is when you're using elements, you're kind of creating sections and hooking them around the existing product archive, right? The way that it is. So all I did here was I hooked in this section here, but I could have hooked it in any number of the available hook areas that are available in the Kadence theme. Okay, and that kind of provides me this new dynamic layout, which looks really good. But when we're talking about creating something from scratch and creating a product archive page from scratch, then that's a completely different thing. And that's where Kadence Shop Kit really shines. The Woo templates feature basically allows you to create a very custom product archive page from scratch, and you get a chance to be able to customize it any way that you want. Now, in this specific example that I'm showing you, this is a very simple and very direct example. Matter of fact, it may actually look like you could produce the same thing with Kadence Elements, but there are a few differences. One is that if you notice, we have this featured area right here. This is nothing but a section with different blocks placed in it. However, everything here is built from a block and in sections. If you notice, the main query right over here has a 3-column grid versus a 4-column grid, like all the other sections, like all the other categories have, right? So if we go to shoes, it has a 4-column grid. If we go to shirts, even though we had customized this using elements, it still has a 4-column grid. However, if we go to the watches, you'll notice that it has a 3-column grid, and that's because this specific area is completely customized to look this way. I also have a section on the side over here that's a sticky section. It contains an opt-in form, and when I scroll, it kind of sticks to the top of the viewport until it gets to the bottom, and then it takes off, right? So we could have customized this even further, but I just wanted to do something simple and direct and to the point. We'll create additional layouts in other videos, but I just want to do something simple and direct to the point so that you can kind of see the difference between using the Woo templates feature in Shop Kit versus using Kadence Elements. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into creating this custom layout from scratch using the Kadence Shop Kit Woo templates feature. Okay, so I've reverted the watches product category to its default state. So what we're going to need in order for us to customize this fully is we are going to need the Shop Kit, the Kadence Shop Kit plugin. Now, this plugin is available if you have the full bundle. So if you have the full bundle, it's available amongst all the plugins that you get with the full bundle. It is not available in the essential bundle. But ShopKit is also sold as a standalone premium plugin as well. So you can get it just by itself. And if you want to get it by itself, I believe it's $79 for just the Kadence Shop Kit by itself. Okay. All right. So once you have that, make sure you have it installed by going ahead and uploading it to your plugins. And you'll see it right here. This is the Kadence Shop Kit. And as soon as you do that, you will then have this additional link right here. When you click on it, you will see that you have about 15 new capabilities that are available for you to extend WooCommerce. The one that we want to make sure is toggled on is the product templates. So if you're here on product templates, make sure it typically starts off like this. Go ahead and toggle that on so that it's here. And then you can go ahead and save it. And once you do that, if you go to products and you scroll down, you'll see over here the Woo templates. Clicking on that will take you to all the templates that you have built, if you've built some. So you can see if you've built some here. And if you have none, then none will show. Okay, and the type of Woo templates you can build are ones for the single product. You can build a product catalog loop item, which we may cover in a different tutorial. And then we have the product archive, which is what we are interested in. So we want to build out product archives from scratch. Okay. So once you are sure that you have everything installed, let's go ahead and start building out our new custom product archive for the watches. So I'm going to go ahead here and click on Add New. And once you do that, you're given the option of a single product, or product catalog loop item, or a product archive. We want the product archive option. And as you can see, you start completely blank. And we're going to call this the new watch product archive layout. Okay, so the first thing we want to do here is we're going to go ahead and add a row layout from Kadence. We want a 3-column row. Okay, and within this row, we're going to add a few items. The first item is going to be right in the middle, and it's going to be a picture of a watch. So I'm going to click on the plus sign, do a search for advanced image, and we're going to select an image, and we want this one. Okay. The next item that we're going to set up is we're going to set up those 4 benefits that we put next to the watch, right? So we're going to click on the plus sign. We're going to use our favorite info box block from Kadence. And we're going to go ahead and configure this. So go ahead and select the block over here to the right hand side. We're going to scroll down and we're going to look at the container settings. And the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that everything is aligned to the left. The next thing that we want to do is we want to eliminate the background color by selecting the container background and bringing the toggle all the way down to the transparent section so that we'll remove it. Then go ahead and select the hover and repeat that process. And now we've taken care of that background. The next thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of the icon. So if you scroll further down under the media settings, we're going to look at media type and we're going to say we want none. Okay. So that is looking pretty good already. And then let's just go ahead and give this a benefit. So we'll call this elegant. All right, that looks pretty good. And then this text is a little bit too big, so I want to reduce the text here. So I'm going to go over here to the text settings, and we're going to set this to a font size of 14. Okay. All right, and then the next thing that we need to do is we need to add a button to this. So I'm going to select the info box again over here to the right, scroll all the way down, and you're going to see the Learn More settings. Open that up, toggle it on, and it's going to give you a button. Okay, we want the text color to be dark, so we'll keep that dark like so. And the background is going to be transparent, that's fine. And then over here on the hover, we want the text color to be white and the background, and this all looks great. Okay, now the other thing is we want to have a border around it, so I'm going to add a border width of 1 pixel. And then the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure the font size is a little bit smaller, so I'm going to set this to 14 pixels. We're also going to change the text to say shop now. All right, and that looks pretty good. So the next thing that we need to do now is we need to create more of these. So we want one more here and we want two on this side. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight the info box again, open up the options, and I'm gonna click on duplicate. That's gonna give me a second one. And we can give this any kind of benefit we want. So let's say luxurious. Okay. And then in between these two, what I'd like to do is I'd like to add a spacer here to sort of give it some distance. So I'm gonna go ahead and select the first one, click on the options here, insert, click on insert after to create a new block row for us. And we're gonna do a / spacer. And we're gonna add the spacer divider from Kadence. And over here, I'm gonna set this to 150 pixels. Whoops. Okay. And we're also going to eliminate the divider there. Okay. All right. So far this looks pretty good. Now, one thing that I do want to do is I want to change the width here, and I want this to be a lot bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the row, and I'm going to move this over like that to 25 pixels on that side and 25 pixels on the other side. And now that I can get a better view of this, I may want to make some adjustments here. So I think I'm going to bring this down till it aligns with the image. So that's about 60 pixels there. And then I'm going to go ahead and select these three blocks, excuse me. So holding down my shift key, click on the first one, second one, third one. I'm going to do a Command C or Control C if you're on a PC to copy all three blocks. You can see that right there. And then we're going to move over to the furthermost section here. Click on the plus sign, select the paragraph option, and do a Command V or Control V if you're on a PC. And there we have it. Okay, very simple. And then we're going to add some more benefits. So durable. And we'll say this is priceless. All right, and that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and publish our work. Save it so that we can save the work in case something happens so we don't lose it. All right, so now I'm gonna select this row again. Okay, and what I wanna do is I just wanna add a little bit of spacing around the row. So I'm gonna go to the padding and margin here, and I'm gonna increase this to 40 pixels. Whoops, actually, this should be 0 pixels. And then here will be 40 pixels, 0 pixels on the bottom, and 40 pixels on the left. All right, that looks more uniform. Go ahead and click update. And now this looks good, okay? So the very next thing that we want to do now is we want to go ahead and add another section, another row below this one, to add in our main query and a sidebar. To do that, click on the plus sign, select a row layout. If it's not there, you can go ahead and do a search for a row layout, and you will see it right here. Click on that, and we want a 2-column row this time. And for this row, I'm going to go ahead and select a layout, sort of a sidebar layout, where it's 66 and 33. Okay, so nice layout here for us. In the first part of the layout here, I'm going to go ahead and add the main query. So click on the plus sign here, and we're actually going to search. Actually, we'll make it easier. Just open up the plus sign over here, the blue plus sign over here. Scroll down to where we have all the Woo template blocks. Now, some of these blocks only work in the single product templates, but we want blocks for the archive template, which is this one right here. If you click on it, you will get the archive main query, which you can see right here. Okay. So now that we have that, because I clicked on it, it just placed it right below my initial row. That's not where I want it. I actually want it to go inside of this section right here. So it's confined to this section. I'm going to set the columns to be 3 columns. Okay, so I want it to be 3 columns when it is on the desktop. And when it is on the tablet, I would like it to be 2 columns And when it's on the mobile device, I want it to be one column. All right, so I've gone ahead and taken care of the mobile optimization. Now, I know when you're looking at this, you're thinking, we're working on watches. Why are we seeing everything that's here? That's okay. Once we set up where this is going to go, it will then tailor it to that specific setup. All right, so over here on the right-hand side, we want to put anything that we want. You can put anything that you want on this side. So in this case, I want to put a opt-in form there, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to reduce the size of this a little bit more by just dragging it like that, because the opt-in form doesn't need to take up that much space. All right, so now that I've done that, I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm going to add a section to give me some additional control. So just search for section. We're going to use a Kadence section in this spot. Click on the plus sign, and now we're going to go ahead and add a form. So search for form. There it is. Okay, so in this particular form, we're going to go ahead and configure these. We're not going to need the message here, and for the button, we want that to say sign me up, because it's going to be an opt-in. In the name field over here to the right, we can open up the name settings, and we can place a placeholder that says enter your name. And for the email settings, we're going to do the same thing. Placeholder, enter your email. Okay. And so far, this is a very clear and very rudimentary form. All right, so the next thing that we want to do here is just configure the fields a little bit. They're a little bit too big. So I'm going to scroll down here while I'm still on the form, select the field styles, and we're going to select the smaller field. And then for the label styles, I want the label size to be a little bit smaller. So we're going to go with 14 pixels. Okay. All right, and then we're going to put a little bit of text above the form. So I'm going to insert a block placement right before it, and we're just going to say join our members group and get 40% off your purchase and a surprise gift every month. Some kind of incentive. Okay. All right, and then I need a more major heading, right? So I'm going to go ahead and insert another placement above this one. So click on the options, insert before, and we're going to do the advanced, search for advanced text. And we're just going to use a big, excuse me, a big call to action. Get 40% off. All right, so far this looks really good in terms of placing all our content. Now we're going to add a little bit of styling to everything. So I'm going to select that row again, and I'm going to go to the padding and margin section. I'm going to set the padding to be at 80 pixels on the top and 80 on the bottom. Okay, and then the sections themselves, I really want to create some spacing in between those. So I'm going to select the left-hand section here. Whoops. If you're finding yourself having a hard time selecting this section, it's very easy to solve. Just go to the list view, open up the row layout, select the section that you want. And then from here, I'm going to do some padding. I'm going to go ahead and unify the padding by linking them all. And we'll make this 40 pixels of padding. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the other section and I'll do the same thing. Open up the padding, 40 pixels. Now, since I'm doing that, one thing that I will do is I will select the row again. And right here where it says column gutter, I'm going to go ahead and eliminate that and make that no gutter. Okay. Excellent. So now we have some spacing. Then I'm going to select the row again, and I want to create some division, some separation between the top featured area and the bottom here. So now that I've selected it, I'm going to go to my border settings. I'm going to set the border to something really light. So a good suggestion would be F0, F0, F0. And then I'm going to give it a top border width of 1 pixel. And I'm also going to give it a bottom border width of 1 pixel. Okay. All right. And that looks pretty good there. The other thing that I want to do with this section here is I also want to add a border to the section. So with the section selected, go to the border styles, border color. We're going to use the same color, F0, F0, F0. And we're going to give it a right border width of 1 pixel. All right, and that looks great. Okay, then the next thing that we want to do is we want to add some styling to our opt-in form here because it's looking quite plain. So I'm going to open up the section again, go to the section, the second section here, and then go into the section again, the deeper section. And in this deeper section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the background settings. I want to select an image. Since this is for the watch category, I'm going to select this image of a gentleman wearing a watch. Okay, and now you can see him there in the background. Then I'm going to add some padding around that. So let's close this out so we can really see what we're doing. I'm going to add some padding around that. And the padding that I want to use is going to be 20 pixels. So go ahead and link everything. And we'll have 20 pixels of padding around the opt-in. Next, we need to be able to see our text. So I'm going to select the advanced header text, or the text here from the advanced text. And we're going to change the color to white. We're going to do the same thing for the paragraph text, which I need to convert to an advanced text and make sure it's a paragraph. And that will give me some customization options directly from Kadence. And then within the form itself, I'm going to select the form, scroll down to the label styles, and make sure that the label color is white. Then I'm also going to add an overlay to the section in general. So I'm going to select the section, go to background overlay settings for the section, and we're going to go ahead and pick a dark color like that. And then we're going to increase the opacity slightly so that the words actually show a lot better. Next, what I want to do is I want to create some space so that we can see the image, we can see the gentleman's face. Okay, so I'm going to click on the first heading here, and I'm going to open up the options and insert some block space before. And then within that block space, I'm going to do a / and search for a spacer. And I'm going to go ahead and add a spacer divider. And then I'm going to drag that down until I'm satisfied that the text is far below his head. Okay, so it's about 250 pixels. Should do the trick. Okay, and then I'm going to disable this divider so we can kind of see the gentleman right there. Okay. All right, so far this looks really good. I'm going to go ahead and click on update to save my work. And if I close this out, I can see I can see how this really looks. Okay. And so far this looks really good. All right, then the next thing that I want to do is I want to create a sticky header, a sticky effect for this specific section over here. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the row. We're going to grab that second section, this one right here. Let's open up the settings for it. We're going to scroll down, look for sticky settings, toggle on the make sticky option, and we're going to give it 30 pixels from the top as an offset. Click update. I'm going to close the list view. I'm going to close the options here. And as I scroll, you can see that that sticks to the top there, just like that. All right, excellent. So far, everything is working very well. The next thing that we need to do is we need to look at this on mobile devices. But what I'm going to do this time is first, I'm going to set it to the Watches product archive. and then I'm going to set up the, and then I'm going to do the mobile optimization on it. Okay, so to do that, we want to go ahead and select the template settings, which is this icon over here. Go ahead and open that up. And then you're going to go to the display settings. And we're going to say we want to show this on category archives. And the category that we want to select individually. And we actually want to select the watches archive. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and click on update. All right, and now this is now assigned to the watches archive. So if we look at the watches archive now, this is what it looks like in its default state. And when we refresh that, this is what it looks like with the template applied. Okay, absolutely stunning. Now we do need a title for this, right? Because this is a little bit too close here. So now we know we need a title for this section. So let's go ahead and add a title. So I'm going to go back to my Woo template. And I'm going to click on this outermost row right here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the options. Let's go ahead and insert a block area right above it. Do a / search for a section. Add that in there. Click on the plus sign. Look for an advanced text. And we're going to type the words timeless. We'll do a dot, timepieces. Okay, I want to go ahead and center this to the center. And then I'm going to we're going to set up the typography here. So what I want for this one is I want it to be all uppercase. I want the size to be 80 pixels. And I want it to be extra bold. Or ultra bold. Okay, ultra bold. And then I want this here, this period that's separating the two, I want that to be a different color. So I'm going to highlight it, click on this little arrow, select highlight. Whoops, that was the wrong highlight. Click on the arrow, excuse me. Let's turn off that highlight. Click on the arrow, select this highlight, which is going to highlight the text. And you get to be able to select the color. And I want this light color. All right, so now that looks good. And then maybe I'll just add a little bit of space. So I'm going to select this heading, go over here to the block settings, go to spacing settings, and on the top, let's add 40 pixels. And on the bottom, let's add 40 pixels. Click on update. And when we go back to watches and we refresh the screen, we now have a nice heading. Okay, and everything just looks nice and clean. So now you see how we configured this completely from scratch. We dictated where this was going to go and how many rows. We added this section right over here, and we styled everything beautifully. Now, the one thing that we do want to do is we want to make sure that when you click on the shop icons here, on the shop buttons, that it does scroll you down to this section. So let's go ahead and take care of that right now. We're going to go to our Woo template, okay? And what I want to do is in this area, because this is completely custom, I want to select this row. Once you select the row, go over here to the right, scroll all the way down till you get to the advanced options here. So we can see that. Let's do this here. Right over here. So you see the advanced options all the way at the bottom. Let me move my screen up a little bit more. There we go. When you open this up, go ahead and add an anchor. And we will call this capital main query. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And we're going to go back up here, click on the shop now, go to the link section, do a hashtag, and paste in that main query again, and save it. And then repeat that for each one of these. Okay, let's go ahead and click on update. And then when we go back to our watches, if we refresh the screen and we click on these links, it slides us right down to be able to shop. Okay. Now, what about the mobile editing? Okay. If we look at this on mobile now, we'll see that it doesn't look very good. Okay. So we have stuff all over the place. All right. So let's go ahead and take care of the mobile editing right now. So we'll close this, go back to our Woo template, and we'll start at the very top with the text. So select the text, the title, and we're going to look at it on a, oops, excuse me. Sorry. We're going to look at this text on a tablet. So on a tablet, we want to make this a little bit smaller. So let's go ahead and make this 60 pixels. And let's give it a line height of 66. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and select this row layout over here. So this is going to be an interesting one. We just want everything to sort of align on top of each other. So we're going to select this final option right over here. So we're going to see the benefit text, the big watch, more benefit text, and the big watch. And this is totally okay. And the reason why is because when you see elegant and you click on shop now, it will scroll you all the way down to the products. Okay. So this is fine. And when I scroll all the way down here, I'm going to select this row and I'm going to do the same thing. Just lay it out on vertically on top of each other. Then we're going to look at this on our cell phones and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to reduce this and let's take this down to 30 pixels and see how that looks. Still too big. So let's make it 28 pixels. Still too big. Let's go 24 pixels. That's perfect. Okay. Over here, this is actually fine the way that it is. That'll still look good when we look at the real mobile device. So this looks good. In terms of the spacer, we can select the spacer. Make sure you're on the icon itself, and we can change this to 20 pixels. Okay, we can leave the image alone. Select the second spacer. Make sure you're on the mobile icon. Change that to 20 pixels. Okay, and then over here, what we want to do is all we want to do here is want to make sure that in this row that the mobile layout is still collapsed, like this is on top, one on top of each other. Okay, which it is. So that is totally fine. Go ahead and update this now. And then when we go and take a look at our watches, refresh the screen, and let's go ahead and look at this on, so right click, click on inspect. Let's look at this on mobile device. And you can see here it is on the mobile device. So if I were to click on shop now, it's going to take me down to go ahead and do my shopping, which is great. So I get to be able to do a little bit of selling first, show the image, and here we are. Everything looks great on mobile, completely customized. Okay. Now some of you might be saying, well, I might not want to have this there and I might not want to have this here before they get to the products, even though I do have a way for them to go ahead and get to the products. People do like to scroll though, so this is totally fine. But let's say you don't want that information there. Very easy to take care of. So let's go ahead and close out of this. Go back to the Woo templates. I'm going to go back here, open it up in the desktop mode, and I'm going to select this row layout. The main row. Open up in list view. Select this main row right here. Okay, so now that I've selected that, I'm going to select the first section. I'm going to come over here to the right, go to visibility settings, and I'm just going to hide this on my mobile device. Okay, by doing that, that section is not going to show up when you look at it on mobile. So go ahead and click on update. And if we go back to watches, refresh the screen, inspect, and now you can see now we start off with the image first, and then we have a couple of items, and then people can get to the shopping. Okay, so now it looks more like this is the heading area, and then some sales copy, and then the products for them to go ahead and buy. All right, and that is how you create a completely custom product archive page using ShopKit WooTemplates feature. Okay. All right, I'm going to show you one more bonus thing, and then we are done with this tutorial. As you can see, this is a very in-depth, very in-depth and very thorough tutorial. Hey, by the way, if you're enjoying this, please go ahead and like the video and subscribe. And also, if you have a question, just leave it down in the comments. All right, on to the bonus. So if we look at the dresses here, I just want to make one more point about ShopKit WooTemplates. If we look at the dresses here, this is still our traditional layout, right? I want to show you how quickly we can customize this. This was actually pretty in-depth customization. So was this one, okay? But it doesn't have to be that in-depth. I'm just being thorough so I can show you all the different things that you can do. But let's take a look at doing something with the dresses here. Sometimes you may have a category, like this with a few products, just has 3 products, might look strange, and you may not like the way it looks, okay? So I'm gonna show you how quickly we can just go ahead and dress this up. So I'm gonna go over here to the dashboard. I'm going to go to products, and I'm gonna go to WooTemplates. We're gonna use the ShopKit feature for this one, okay? So what I can do here is I can go ahead and click on Add New. And we're gonna do Product Archive, start blank, and we'll call this Simple Custom Dress Archive, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and do a row layout, okay? Make sure it stretches out here. Do a plus sign, and I'm going to add some advanced text. And we're gonna call this one Beautiful Dresses for Any Occasion. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the center. I'm gonna give it a font size of 80, maybe 60, okay? And then let's go ahead and just make it a little bit, actually, let's make it semi-bold, more bold. Okay, here we go. Beautiful dresses for any occasion. Okay, and then I'm gonna, right when I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and click on Enter. I'm going to do a / row layout, select the row, and I'm gonna pick again one row layout. And then within this row layout, we're gonna go to Structure Settings, and we're gonna do a Content Max Width Inherit from Theme. Okay, so that's gonna bring everything to the center. Then I'm gonna click on the plus sign, and I'm going to go ahead and do a search for query. That's gonna show me the archive main query right here. I'm gonna select that, and it's gonna give me these options again. This time on the columns for the query, so with the query selected, on the columns, I'm going to change this to only 2 pixels. Sorry, excuse me, 2 columns, not 2 pixels. 2 columns here, 2 columns for the tablet, and 1 column for the mobile device, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and make some changes here to my text to make sure that the text still looks good on any device. So we have this here at 60. I'm gonna set this down to 40. And let's give it 46 for the line height. And then on the mobile device, I want this to be 20 and 26 for the line height. Okay, so now that's done. I'm gonna go back to my desktop view. All right, so here's everything that we've done. We've added a text, and we've added a simple query layout here. Then I'm just gonna add a little bit more space here because I know how this is gonna look on the front end. So go to my spacing, and on the top, we're gonna add 40 pixels. On the bottom, I'm gonna add 40 pixels. Okay, this looks good. Next, I'm gonna go to the page settings, the template settings, excuse me, over here. Go to display settings, and I'm gonna say show on category archives, and I'm gonna select individually, and we want this on dresses. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and publish this. All right, so now when we go back to the dresses here, just like that, we have a new dress layout. That's clean, that's nice, and very simple. Okay, and they all work. If you click on it, it takes you right there. So you kind of see the difference between using the Kadence Shop Kit WooTemplates feature versus using the Kadence Elements. They both work beautifully, but you do different things and you have different levels of customization with each one. Okay, and they can actually work together still. So here is our Kadence Shop Kit layout for the watches, our Kadence Shop Kit WooTemplates layout for dresses, and then our Kadence Elements layout for t-shirts. And with that, that will bring us to the conclusion of this tutorial. Thank you very much. If you hung out there to the end, I hope that you learned a lot and I appreciate your support. Hey, listen, if you enjoyed this tutorial, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and then also like the video for the YouTube algorithm so more people can find these in-depth tutorials. And then if you have a question on anything that I taught here today, please go ahead and leave that in the comments. I do read the comments and I will respond to your comments or your question as quickly as I can. I get a lot of them, but I do my best to get to everyone's question in as timely a fashion as I can. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. And I'm going to tell you again, thank you very much for watching the video. If you're subscribed, thank you so much for subscribing. And if you supported me in any way, I really appreciate your support. I will see you in the next